This is Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance in the Inland Empire. We are joined by Rich Kerr. He is the mayor of Adelanto, and Adelanto is in the news. Not just in the high desert, not just in California, but nationwide. And you actually are one of the reasons, in the best sense, I must say, sir. In the best sense, you gave a quote to the LA Times that Adelanto wants to become the Silicon Valley of medical marijuana.
Yes, sir.
Great imagery there. Great imagery. Talk us through that decision. That's a very bold step to take.
Well, if I may change that just a little bit, it's not that we want to be, it's that we will be. We've positioned ourselves in the last 2.5 years since I've been elected. We positioned ourselves in that that fast track is going.
And let's talk about what you've done. I had the good fortune of traveling to the high desert, spoke with some of your colleagues, and if you go to Adelanto, a lot of open space, industrial land.
Yes.
And what Adelanto is doing is you are permitting feverishly for the industrial cultivation of medical marijuana. There are literally cultivation warehouses popping up all throughout Adelanto, in addition to the possibility of having cannabis oil extraction facilities.
Yes. Yes, what we have is, we first started 2.5 years ago. It wasn't really a good subject with me at the point until I went out and visited a lot of cancer patients, children with epilepsy and everything else, and seen the benefit in this. Narcotics are killing people, kidneys, livers failing, everything else, and this is an alternative that God put on the earth a long, long time ago, but we're just now finding out what it does.
But what's remarkable, if I may say so, this is Adelanto.
Yes, sir.
This is not Santa Monica.
No, sir.
This is not San Francisco.
No, sir.
This is pretty ruby red Adelanto that is taking a very bold step by looking to become the Silicon Valley of medical marijuana. Again, you wouldn't expect it in more conservative areas of California.
Well, Adelanto, really a brief, go back a little bit. We were $2.6 million in the hole, in the red when I took over. We got to do something. What are we going to do? We got to step way outside the box.
And 2.6 million was a lot of money. I mean, you were teetering
we were
on
done.
BK.
We were starting to file for bankruptcy and everything else when I took over. So we put our heads together. My council is outstanding council. We have a 4-1 to a 5-0 vote on most things that we do.
Including this?
Including this.
Wow.
Usually that's a 4-1. We have a standoff when it deals with the one vote out of it. But
4-1's pretty good.
4-1's really good.
And what's interesting is you and your colleagues, I don't know if you were on the council yet, but as Adelanto has been teetering throughout this recession, there was a turn towards prisons, to develop prisons, either private or public prisons. And that has been marginally successful. But now, so you're going to have prisons and grow facilities.
Well, prisons, we weren't getting any money for it. I mean, if you look back before we took over, we weren't making any money. Well, now we're making $2.2 million because it's $1 a bed charge. That was never approached later. So now we're going backwards and we're redoing a lot of stuff, negotiating with the geo prisons and that.
That's a private facility.
And we negotiated, and it's like $80,000 a month that we receive from them. We went above and beyond, and we just started looking for different avenues. Medical cannabis is here. The voters in California came in and voted for marijuana.
Right. But let's back up, because when you keep using the term medical.
Yes, sir.
We now have recreational cannabis.
Yes, sir.
And so is there any reason to make that distinction? I mean, it's all legal. In
our city there is. We went out to vote in last November to get a consensus on how the voters on the up to 5% sales tax and everything.
On recreational?
On recreational, everything. What we did, we're strictly medical cannabis. What happens outside of our city once it's grown and we do the manufacturing, the extraction, we have testers up there that are third-party testers. Once it leaves Adelanto, we really don't have a say-so over what goes on.
Oh, so technically it could wind up recreational.
It could wind up wherever it needs to go, but within the city limits, within that 52 square miles of dirt that Adelanto has, it is medical.
So let me just be clear if I can. So in November, when the state was voting to legalize marijuana, Prop 64, you also had on your ballot a question, should we tax recreational? And your voters said
yes.
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 So will you have, this is a separate question, but will you have recreational sales of marijuana?
In the future,
but that's
we
not
will bring that.
Okay,
that
that's a separate issue.
Right now, we just say medical, we keep it on the medical side. What we'll do is we'll go to the voters. I believe totally 22 years in the Marine Corps, I believe in the Democratic, you go to the voters, ask them what they want. But I think it'll pass easy in a couple of years down the road, just due to the fact what this revenue is bringing. Our city is between $9 and $11 million that we need to run the city. I mean,
and if you had that
2.6, we were done.
That's brutal.
That's not a lot of money.
Brutal.
But we're in the black now. As of the end of this month, we'll be in the black. First time in 25 years that we've ever been in the black.
As a result of these development fees for these cannabis facilities?
Yes. Also the residual. A lot of people don't look at the residual. As you grow medical cannabis, as you bring industry into the city, you bring hotels in the city, you bring gas stations in the city, you bring eateries into the city. Adelanto's never had us points of sales. Now we do.
Do you get more? Do you get money beyond the development fees? So,
yes.
So what do you? How does that work?
Well, actually, what we did was we took up to 5% on our tax. So now, once it passed, we went back to the growers, and we said, okay, you're going to pay up to 5%. Here's what we do: we do a $5 per square foot of your building that is an annual, like a tax. And at the end of the year, we charge you 0% tax. We're still taxing you at 0%, but you can pay 30,000 square foot, $150,000 a year to us, which we can forecast now in the future what we have coming in.
So it's not a property tax really?
No.
Or it's a separate issue?
It's a separate tax. You can pay your taxes up front at $5 a square foot, or you can wait and pay 5%. And then we have to come into your establishment, do the audits of your book, a lot of paperwork.
So a lot of detailed regulations coming down from the state of California.
A lot.
Although, are those new regulations going to apply to your facilities? Because again, you're saying it's medical.
A lot of them are going to, but what we do is we're in close, we talk with the state on a continuous daily basis. As it comes down and it's going to apply to Adelanto, we go in and we make modifications to our ordinances and we go. So what our plan is when the state finally comes down in 2018, 2019, whenever the magic date is, we're going to be in compliance. A lot of other cities throughout the state are not doing what we're doing.
Right, and let's talk about those cities, because there are others that want to jump on the bandwagon, especially our friends in Northern California, Central Valley.
We don't worry about
you write them
them
off.
We don't, you know, and I'm going to brag a little bit here.
It's okay.
Marines don't lose at anything they do. We win, but we are staying in front. I like to say, we used to chase the 8-ball. And try to catch up with it. That's why we were where we're at. Now we're in front of the 8-ball. We're letting the 8-ball push us to where we need to be. How
will your residents benefit? Because in the end, high poverty rate in Adelanto, how do you make sure that everyone...
$15 to $25 an hour, 50% of the workforce within those facilities has to come from Adelanto. They have to have an ID card that says, we've checked it all. Right now, we probably have about 180 jobs that's been added in Adelanto, and they're all Adelanto residents. Or, let me put it this way, they're from the high desert. We go to Adelanto first. If we don't have qualified people within that, we go to Hesperia, Victorville. This isn't just an Adelanto thing. We're going to reap the benefits. We're going to pave our roads. We're going to do everything.
He is a good man. His name is Rich Kerr. You'll come back and tell us more about it.
Yes, sir.
He is Rich Kerr. He is currently the mayor of Adelanto, which is looking to become the Silicon Valley of medical marijuana. I'm Brad Pomerance in the Inland Empire. It's Local Edition.